GEO Exploration Limited is pleased to announce final results from processing and interpretation of airborne geophysical surveys collected over the Gorge Project in Western Australia. The programme comprised high-resolution LiDAR, aerial photography, magnetic and radiometric surveys over the Gorge Project licence area. Dr. Finbar Murphy, Fractor Pty Limited, was engaged to work closely with GEO's technical team in undertaking processing, interpretation and target generation using these datasets. His interpretation work played a key role in Predictive Discovery Limited's ASX PDI discovery of the Bankan Gold Project in Guinea, West Africa, which has subsequently been defined as containing a 5.4 million ounces gold resource. The completed interpretation has materially advanced GEO's understanding of the project's geology, structural setting, historical workings, and potential controls on mineralisation. The work has further upgraded the company's 3 existing Rank 1 targets at MAG 001, Gorge Mine and the 401 prospect, and identified 9 further exploration targets, providing GEO with a significantly expanded pipeline for systematic follow-up. We begin with the regional scale geophysical results. Regional gravity, magnetic, radiometric, and airborne electromagnetic datasets were processed using image enhancement and multi-scale edge detection, worming techniques. This processing highlights geological boundaries, potential intrusive bodies, and major structures which may not be visible at surface. The interpretation indicates that the Gorge Project is centred on a regionally significant northeast-southwest orientated domal structure termed the Wyloo Dome. Domal structures are considered highly prospective exploration settings and are associated with some of Australia's largest and most significant gold deposits, including Telfer in Western Australia and Fosterville in Victoria. Folding, faulting and structural complexity around these domes can create favourable pathways and depositional sites for gold-bearing fluids. Worming of the gravity and airborne electromagnetic datasets indicates that the Wyloo Dome lies along a major northeast-southwest structural corridor which disrupts the broader regional geological trends. This is significant because deep-seated structures can act as pathways for mineralising fluids and create favourable settings for gold deposition. The Wyloo Dome also sits over a large gravity anomaly that may indicate mafic intrusives or dike swarms at depth. These features are associated with many major mineral systems and further strengthen GEO's geological model for the Gorge Project. Taken together, the Wyloo Dome, major structural corridor, possible intrusive rocks at depth and known surface gold occurrences have significantly upgraded the prospectivity at the Gorge Project. The geological features identified at the Gorge Project share characteristics observed within a number of globally significant mineral systems, providing GEO with a strong regional framework within which to assess the known gold occurrences and expanded portfolio of exploration targets. Now let's examine the magnetic and radiometric survey results. A high-resolution, low-level airborne magnetic and radiometric survey was completed across the entire Gorge Project licence area. The final processing and interpretation work has provided GEO with a substantially more detailed understanding of the project's geological framework and has further upgraded the previously reported MAG 001 magnetic anomaly and associated RAD 001 and RAD 002 radiometric anomalies. Interpretation of the magnetic data identified a network of faults and shear structures extending across the licence, including several structures with significant strike length. Longer and more continuous faults may extend deeper into the crust and therefore have greater potential to act as pathways for large-scale fluid flow and mineralisation. Worming of the detailed magnetic and radiometric datasets has enabled GEO to map the local scale, geological and fault framework in significantly greater detail. The interpretation identifies secondary northeast-southwest fold structures within the broader Wyloo Dome, together with several enclosed magnetic anomalies, which may represent previously unrecognised intrusive bodies. Numerous local faults appear to cut across these folds and potential intrusive features. The areas where faults, folds, and possible intrusive contacts intersect are considered particularly prospective because they may create favourable pathways and depositional sites for mineralising fluids. The magnetic and radiometric responses have also revealed previously unrecognised geological units or domains. These results indicate that the fold and fault architecture at the Gorge Project may be considerably more complex than historical mapping suggested. Areas where anomalous magnetic and/or radiometric responses occur within this structural framework have therefore been prioritised for follow-up exploration. The completed interpretation has materially advanced GEO's understanding of the Gorge Project from a series of individual historic gold occurrences into a broader geological system containing multiple, potentially favourable mineralised settings. Next, we review the LiDAR and aerial photography survey, interpretation of the Gorge Project. LiDAR and aerial photography materially improve GEO's ability to identify and map historic shafts and trenches, quartz veining, geological outcrops, bedding and cleavage orientations, local fault and fold structures, tracks and potential access routes, drainage patterns, and changes in surface cover and weathering. In total, 24 shafts and 12 trenches were identified from the LiDAR data. The number of identified workings is materially greater than previously recognised and demonstrates that historic prospecting and mining activity was more extensive across the project than indicated by the available records. Several shafts appear to have been developed directly along quartz veins visible in the aerial imagery. This is considered significant because it suggests historic miners were targeting specific bedrock structures and quartz vein systems rather than solely recovering shallow or transported surface gold. Ground truthing, mapping, and sampling of historic mullock heaps and trenches identified will be completed during the forward work programme. Extensive quartz veining has been interpreted across the project. These show areas of significant vein density, with veins mapped in both concordant and discordant orientations. Quartz veining is considered a key vector to gold mineralisation and local-scale target generation and drill targeting. Numerous geological outcrops were identified and have allowed for bedding and cleavage form lines to be interpreted across the project. These are considered key data inputs into deriving the structural interpretation, with numerous faults and fold structures interpreted. Areas of structural complexity are considered more prospective for orogenic-style gold mineralisation. Analysis of these data has significantly advanced GEO's understanding of draining patterns and regolith distribution at the project. A significant watershed feature and associated change in regolith is evident across the central part of the project. This observation impacts on the interpretation of geochemical and radiometric data and may assist a vectoring to the source of the primary bedrock gold mineralisation. Building on these datasets, let's explore the lithostructural geological interpretation. 3 groups of Proterozoic sedimentary rocks underlie the Gorge Project. The oldest and centrally located unit, the Wyloo group belonging to the Ashburton Formation, is considered the most prospective for gold and polymetallic mineralisation. The Wyloo group is flanked to the northwest and southeast by the younger Capricorn group, which sits above it. Both groups have been folded along regional northeast-southwest trends, with the Wyloo group exposed within the interpreted Wyloo Dome. A third geological unit associated with the Bangamal Basin occurs to the south and sits above the older rock groups. This unit was subsequently deformed along northwest-southeast trends, overprinting the earlier deformation within the Wyloo and Capricorn groups. Mafic dikes were later emplaced across the geological sequence, largely exploiting pre-existing structural trends. This multi-stage geological history has created a more complex fold and fault architecture than was previously recognised and is considered important to the project's mineralisation potential. Fault and quartz vein patterns are key indicators of prospectivity in structurally deformed sedimentary terrains. Mapping and interpretation at the Gorge Project show a strong northwest-southeast orientation of cleavage, faults and quartz veins within the Wyloo group. A second northeast-southwest fault system has also had a significant influence on the architecture of the Wyloo Dome. Evidence for this includes the emplacement of a mafic dike along the interpreted axis of an early fold, together with interpreted sinistral fault offsets and similar structural trends elsewhere in the district. Regional gravity, airborne electromagnetic and magnetic data also suggest the presence of a deep-seated, crustal-scale northeast-southwest basement structure spatially associated with the Wyloo Dome. Structures of this scale can provide pathways for mineralizing fluids from depth and add to the prospectivity of the project. Both dominant fault orientations are considered prospective in their own right. However, areas where the two structural directions intersect are considered higher priority targets because they may provide enhanced pathways and favourable sites for mineralisation. The detailed magnetic and radiometric surveys have also identified previously unrecognised geological domains, further indicating that the fold and fault pattern across the Gorge Project is more complex than historical mapping suggested. Areas where anomalous magnetic and/or radiometric responses occur within this structural framework have been prioritised for follow-up exploration. Taken together, the multiple phases of folding and faulting, deep-seated structural setting, mafic dikes, quartz veining, and newly identified geological domains provide GEO with a significantly strengthened lithostructural model for targeting gold mineralisation at the Gorge Project. Next, let's explore the key prospects and target generation. The integrated interpretation has identified 9 further exploration targets in addition to the existing Rank 1 targets at Gorge Mine Prospect, 401 Prospect, and Mag 001. This increases the current Gorge target inventory to 12 areas. Target generation was achieved via an integrated approach that considered geophysical response, geochemical response, structural complexity, quartz veining, and historic workings. We'll begin with the highest priority target, the Gorge Mine Prospect. Gorge Mine Prospect remains a Rank 1 priority target based on historic workings, shafts, and previously reported elevated rock chip and stream sediment geochemistry. The target has been further upgraded following the identification of additional vertical shafts and a greater density of quartz veining from the LiDAR and aerial photography. Gorge Mine Prospect lies along a significant west-northwest to east-southeast structural zone, which is intersected by northeast-southwest structures, creating an area of increased structural complexity. The combination of historic gold workings, existing geochemistry, extensive quartz veining, and intersecting structures is considered consistent with the potential presence of an orogenic gold system. The final interpretation indicates that the historic activity at Gorge Mine may form part of a wider, structurally controlled mineralized zone rather than representing an isolated occurrence. Next, let's turn our attention to the 401 prospect. The 401 prospect remains a Rank 1 priority target based on historic workings, previous drilling, and elevated rock chip, soil and stream sediment geochemistry. The final interpretation has further upgraded the target by identifying its position along a significant northwest-southeast magnetic gradient. Several nearby magnetic closures and mapped quartz eye porphyry outcrop may also indicate the presence of proximal intrusive bodies. The combination of historic gold mineralization, existing geochemistry, structural complexity, and the possible intrusive association means the 401 prospect target is considered prospective for both orogenic and intrusion-related gold mineralization. Another priority target identified by the surveys is Mag 001. Mag 001 remains a Rank 1 priority target located in the northwest of the licence, in an area which has not previously been explored. The target comprises a strike-limited positive magnetic anomaly with an amplitude of approximately 400 nanoteslas. Three-dimensional inversion modelling indicates that the top of the magnetic body may occur approximately 300 metres beneath the surface, with significant interpreted vertical extent. Mag 001 is located close to the RAD 001 radiometric anomaly. Interpretation of the local watershed and drainage patterns indicates that the radiometric response is likely to be located close to its original source rather than having been transported into the area by surface drainage, further upgrading the target. The target is also associated with a LiDAR-defined topographic feature, substantial quartz veining and iron oxide staining visible in the aerial imagery. Mag 001 occurs along a significant northeast-southwest structure and close to several interpreted structural intersections and areas of geological complexity, including the Capricorn Group, unconformity, and drainage watershed feature. The combined magnetic, radiometric, structural, and surface signature is considered consistent with the potential presence of an intrusion-related gold system and/or an iron oxide copper-gold style mineral system. The combination of these features, together with the absence of historic exploration, makes Mag 001 one of the company's highest priority targets for future investigation. In addition, 9 further targets have been identified, The 9 further targets comprise areas where combinations of geophysical responses, structural intersections, quartz veining, historic workings, and existing geochemical anomalies occur together. While currently ranked below MAG 001, Gorge Mine Prospect and the 401 Prospect targets, based on the available information, they materially expand the number of potential mineralised centres identified across the licence. The larger target inventory gives GEO greater flexibility to test and advance multiple areas and reduces the company's reliance on the success of any single target. The rankings will continue to evolve as field observations, laboratory assays, and further geochemical results are incorporated into the geological model. Following interpretation of the exploration data, 12 target areas were ranked according to their geological and geophysical characteristics. The following section summarises each target and the key features contributing to its ranking. 3 rank 1 targets have been identified: Gorge Mine, 401 Prospect, and MAG 001. Gorge Mine is characterised by historic workings, shafts, rock chips, historic production, a west-northwest structure, and numerous quartz veins. 401 Prospect is characterised by historic workings, drill intercepts, rock chips, a northwest fault zone, and the margin of a magnetic high possibly intrusive. MAG 001 is characterised by an intrusive body, a 400 nanotesla high magnetic intensity body, a subjacent high uranium response, structural complexity, moderate quartz veins, and is located just beneath the Capricorn unconformity. 2 rank 2 targets have also been identified: RAD 002 and Central Dome. RAD 002 is characterised by a uranium anomaly, mostly in drainage, on a northeast-southwest shear zone, and dike, structural complexity, numerous quartz veins, and historic workings. Central Dome is characterised by a high magnetic signature in a semicircular closure, moderate quartz veins, and uranium enrichment to the northwest side of the central structure. 3 rank 3 targets have been identified: Central Zone, Liverpool, and Tadpole. Central Zone is characterised by numerous quartz veins, structural complexity, a large drainage area, and limited outcrop. Liverpool is characterised by structural intersection, an 82 parts per billion gold stream, and moderate quartz veins. Tadpole is characterised by an antiform, a low-order structural intersection, moderate quartz veining, and historic workings. 4 rank 4 targets have been identified: Gossan Valley, Gorge West, North Star, and Quartz Valley. Gossan Valley is characterised by a copper gossan, moderate quartz veins, structural complexity, and disrupted magnetic gradients. Gorge West is characterised by moderate quartz veins and is on strike from Gorge Mine. North Star is characterised by an intrusive high magnetic signature and quartz veins. Quartz Valley is characterised by significant quartz veining, a significant northeast-southwest structure, and is close to the Capricorn unconformity. Finally, we outline the forward programme. The targets identified will be further tested by the upcoming field programme that will consist of an extensive soil and rock, chip geochemistry survey, geological mapping, and controlled sampling of mullock heaps from historic shafts and trenches. This work is expected to further assist in ranking and refinement of the targets and planning for the proposed maiden drilling programme. Drilling activities remain subject to completion of the required heritage and government permitting processes. Tom Harris, GEO's exploration manager, commented, "The interpretation of airborne geophysical datasets has confirmed and generated new high-priority targets that warrant further investigation and drill testing. I'm excited that the LiDAR data clearly shows that there are far more historical vertical shafts than anticipated. I look forward to receiving assay results from the trial soil geochemistry and commencement of the next phase of field work." Dr. Finbar Murphy, GEO's technical consultant, commented, "The regional and local scale geological setting observed at the Gorge Project is consistent with numerous globally significant mineral systems. The quality of the airborne geophysical surveys collected has resulted in a structural and lithological geological interpretation that has a high degree of confidence. I look forward to seeing the high-priority targets generated tested. Omar Ahmad, Chief Executive Officer, commented, "We are excited by these results and increasingly confident in the potential of the Gorge Project, with 9 further targets now generated alongside the continued upgrading of our 3 Rank 1 targets. The interpretation has identified the regionally significant Wyloo Dome, a geological setting associated with major Australian gold deposits, including Telfer and Fosterville, which is highly encouraging for the company. Progress at the Gorge Project continues to reinforce its growing importance to GEO. I would like to thank Dr. Finbar Murphy for his excellent work, alongside Callum Baxter and Tom Harris, whose combined expertise gives us growing confidence as we advance the next phase of exploration. We now conclude with an overview of the Gorge Project. The Gorge Project comprises exploration licence E083737, located approximately 110 kilometres west of Paraburdoo in Western Australia. The licence covers 81 square kilometres within the Capricorn origin and is held through GEO's 100% owned subsidiary, Gorge Gold Pty Limited. Historical exploration, prospecting and mining activity has identified gold occurrences over approximately 5 kilometres of strike, including rock chip results of up to 134 grams per tonne gold, soil results of up to 233 grams per tonne gold, historical drilling including 1 metre at 35 grams per tonne gold, and the recovery of near-surface gold nuggets ranging from less than 2 grams to more than 100 grams. GEO commenced a systematic modern exploration programme at Gorge Project during 2026. High-resolution LiDAR, aerial photography, magnetic and radiometric surveys have improved the definition of the known gold trend and identified new priority targets, including the MAG-001 magnetic anomaly and the ARAD-001 and RAD-002 radiometric anomalies. MAG-001 has an interpreted depth to top of approximately 300 metres, significant vertical extent, and is coincident with a LiDAR-defined topographic feature and iron oxide staining observed at surface. Field reconnaissance in May and June 2026 has confirmed priority areas at the Gorge Mine, 401 and Central Zone prospects. Work completed includes geological and structural mapping, confirmation of historic workings and drill locations, collection of 35 rock chip samples and 246 orientation soil samples. An identification of visible gold in quartz vein material, significant quartz veining and alteration, and copper-rich gossan at the Central Zone. GEO is integrating the geophysical, geological, and geochemical datasets to refine targets for follow-up sampling and the proposed maiden drilling program. These results, along with the proximity of the nugget recoveries, suggest the potential presence of a primary bedrock gold source within the licence area. This brings us to the end of today's Regulatory News Service announcement. The person responsible for the release of this announcement is Hamza Chowdhury, Chief Financial Officer and Executive Director. GEO Exploration Limited remains committed to responsible exploration and delivering long-term value for our shareholders. We look forward to updating the market as we progress our work programs. Thank you for listening. For more news and insights, follow us across our social media platforms